Today we're going to be talking about 6 questions that will absolutely change your life. Because one of the things that you have to realize is it's not always about having the right answers. Sometimes it's about having the right questions that you ask yourself that bring you to the right answers in your life. And I actually got a couple of these questions. I was watching a YouTube video by a guy named Ryan Holiday who talks about living a stoic life under the Stoic philosophy, which is a philosophy they used to have in ancient Rome. Marcus Aurelius made this really popular. So it's a few questions from him that I saw him say that kind of inspired this, and then a few questions that I actually added in there as well. So one thing I would recommend that you do, if possible, get a pen and paper, write these down, and then when we're done, all you have to do is literally answer those questions and start to go through them and see if you can start to get some really deep answers for these questions. So I'm going to ask these questions, and I'm going to kind of frame them for you. You can write them down. You can pause me if you need to, and then force yourself to answer them and to not allow yourself to be surface level, but to allow yourself to go deeper than you normally would to find answers that might be hidden inside of you that are looking to be uncovered throughout this process. The first question that I want you to ask yourself is this: who am I spending time with? So there's a phrase, a quote that says, "Show me who you spend time with, and I will tell you who you are." Show me who you spend time with, and I'll tell you who you are. I don't even need to know who you are, see you, or anything, but if you were to show me the top 5 people that you spend the most time with, the top 10 people who you spend the most time with, and I were to look at them, talk to them, interview them, all of that stuff, I could get a pretty good idea of who you are, where you are in your life, what you're doing well with, what you're struggling with, but also what direction you're heading in your life as well. It's like you've heard me say many times, the 5 people that you spend the most time with, you average them together, you're going to become those people. If you spend time with 5 alcoholics, you're probably going to be the 6th alcoholic. If you spend time with 5 millionaires, you're probably going to become the 6th millionaire. And so that's why if you look at people who are, if you look at the people that you spend the most time with, there's a pretty good chance if you put them all together, you think the same way as them, you are heading the same direction as them, your body is probably very similar to them. If you hang out with, if you're overweight and you just start hanging out around 5 people who are extremely fit, you are going to start to become more fit. Now, you might not be as fit of the people who are extremely fit, but you will become more fit simply from being around them, and they are going to hold you to a higher standard. They're not going to be eating things that you're eating in order to get you to where you are, and you're going to start changing your habits. And when you're around people that are taking care of themselves, and you see that they're waking up earlier, and you see that they're focused on their business, or you see that they're focused on their mindset, or you see that they're focused on the relationship with their spouse, or they're focused on the relationship with their children, showing up as the best parent, you are going to see what they're doing, and you are going to become like them. And so the first question is, who am I spending time with? Is to start thinking about who are the people around me that are helping me become better? Who are the people that are keeping me in the exact same position? And who are the people that could possibly be making me actually worse? And so there's 3 different categories that I just talked about. There's the people that are going to make you better, there's the people that are going to make you worse, and the people that are going to keep you exactly the same as you currently are. When you look at these people and you start to see who you're spending time with, you ask yourself who you're spending time with, also ask yourself the question, where are these people headed in their life? Like, what direction are they headed? If you look at the trajectory of their life and what direction they're going into, and you were to say, okay, my good friend John that I spend a lot of time with, and I look at where he's going in his life, and I fast forward in my mind where John could be in 5 years, is that where I also want to be in 5 years? Or am I looking at that going, yeah, he's not heading in a direction that I want to be? Well, if he's not heading in a direction that you want to be, maybe it's time to, you don't have to get rid of him, as I always say, just spend a little bit less time with him and maybe put a new person into your top 5. I'm not saying you have to get rid of people, but just start to be very aware of the people that you spend time with and where they are helping you head and in what direction you're headed to. So if you have a massive success, you have something amazing happening at work, are these people celebrating your success? Are they rooting you on? Or is there a part of you that's like, I'm not really sure if they're happy about my success or if they're just being fake, or if they're indifferent to my success? A really good friend should be somebody who celebrates your success and is happy about your success as you are. That's what you're really looking for in these types of people. So are they heading in the same direction as you, or are they heading in the direction that you want to be heading? That's the first question, is who am I spending time with? Question number 2, which is a big question to ask yourself, is is this something that I have control over? And so when you look at things that are possibly stressing you out, making you anxious, that you're worrying about maybe a little bit too much, ask yourself the question, is this something that I have control over? Because so much of what we go through in our lives, we don't have control over. We don't have control over the majority of the things in our life. We don't have the control over anybody else. We don't have control over the weather. And if you want to talk about, control over other people, and I'll give you a really good example of this. I was running a Zoom earlier today for about 93 people. And these are all people who I'm helping them grow their coaching businesses. I'm teaching them how to grow a coaching business in my business breakthrough program. And I'm teaching them this. And, there were quite a few people who showed up late. Not massively late, but like 1 or 2 minutes late. Like they were a few minutes late, 5 minutes late, 7 minutes late. And I started exactly on time. And I said, hey, would it be, and I didn't preface this in any sort of way for them, but I said to them, would it be kind of irresponsible and unacceptable if you're expecting me to start this live at 12 Eastern and I showed up at 12:07 consistently? Would you guys see that as unacceptable? Let me know in the chat. Flooded in. Every single person like, yes, that would be unacceptable. And then I said, why is it unacceptable for me to show up late, but many of you showed up a few minutes late? And so you have to be willing to hold yourself accountable for when you're showing up. But you also have to realize that you have no control over what time other people show up, how other people act, how they're going to show up whenever they get there, when they show up, all of that stuff. And I always give the example, if you have kids or you know children, and you're around a 2-year-old, the last thing that a 2-year-old wants to do is be controlled. And so you have to realize it is really hard to control other people. So what is it that you can control? Those are the things that I want you to focus on. Stop focusing on what you can't control and start focusing on what you can control. So things that you can control. You can control your own mindset. It might feel like sometimes you can't control your own mindset, but you are fully 100% in control of your mindset. You're in control of your attitude. You're in control of the way that you talk to yourself. You're in control of your energy throughout the day. You're in control of your actions throughout the day. You're in control of your happiness. Those are things that you can control. So the important thing is to ask yourself, is this something that I can control? Is this something I control over? And if it is a no, it is something that you should let go of and release and stop worrying about. Because if you're stressing over something that you can't control, you're going to stay stressed forever. Forever. If you're trying to control that thing. Because if you have no control over it, what will make you stress out more than trying to control something that you can't control? So don't waste your time, your money, your energy, none of those things on things that you cannot control. Only focus on what you can control, because those are the things that are going to move the needle in your life. So that's question number 2, is do I have control over this? Question number 3, which is a very important question, that I would wake up and ask yourself each morning for the next week, 2 weeks, and just see what comes up. What does my ideal day look like? What does my ideal day look like? I had this practice that one of my mentors years ago had me go through. It's called the Perfect Tuesday, and where he had us sit down and design what our perfect Tuesday would look like from every single moment, from the second we woke up to the second we went to bed. And the reason why is because Tuesdays are just normal days. They're just days. It's not like a Friday where you're excited for the weekend. It's not a Monday where you're like, oh, the weekend, I'm still kind of, hungover from the weekend. Tuesdays are just Tuesdays. They're not even the middle of the week. They don't even get a special name like Wednesday gets hump day. It's not, Thursday where Thursday's Friday Eve, and then Friday you have Friday. So it's like Tuesday's just a normal day most of the time. What do you want your perfect Tuesday to look like? What do you want your ideal day to look like? When you wake up, what time do you want to wake up? Where do you want to wake up? What do you want your morning routine to look like? Do you want to wake up in the morning? What do you want to eat? Who do you want to spend your time with? What do you want to do in your business or in the job that you have or the career that you have or the children that you spend time with? What do you want to do in all of the morning? Plan out your entire morning and what you want that to look like. And then you start to shift into the noon to afternoon time. What do you want that to look like? What do you want to be eating? Do you want to be eating with other people? Who are those people that you want to be eating with? Like, what do you want this ideal day to look like? What do you want the afternoon to look like? What do you want the evening to look like? Dinner. What type of dinner do you want to have? What type of food do you want to be eating? Who do you want to be eating dinner with? After dinner, what do you want that to look like? Do you want to be spending time with your family, with the cell phone away, with Netflix away, with the iPads away, with all of that? Do you want to spend time with just your family? Do you not have a family yet? Maybe you want to spend your time on your own personal growth or building your business. What does your ideal day look like? If you don't know what your ideal day looks like, it's going to be really hard to build into that ideal day. And so the third question that will help you grow is, what do I want my ideal day to look like? Question number 4, is what am I missing out on by choosing to worry or be afraid? What am I missing out on by choosing to worry or be afraid? Notice I use the word choosing, because worrying and being afraid is a choice. It might not always feel like a choice, but if you're worrying, you're allowing yourself, you are choosing to stay in that state. You are choosing, whether you realize it or not, to focus on those things that are causing you worry. And if you've been listening to me long enough, you realize the statistics. I say it all the time. Psychologists found that about 85% of the stuff that you worry about never even actually happens. 85% of what you worry about never happens. So if you're focusing on those things, that means 85% of the stuff that you spend your energy, your mental and physical energy worrying about never actually happens. Imagine what could happen if you replaced that mental energy that you have been choosing to work and waste on just worrying and being afraid and whatever it is that you're focusing on. Imagine if you took those things that don't happen and you were to focus on things that you do have control over, that you can do, and stop wasting your energy and your mental capacity on those things that you have no control over. So what am I choosing to worry about or to be afraid of? That's question number 4. Once again, you can pause me at any time. Just go for it. Just start asking yourself these questions if your brain's already starting to go. Question number 5 is, what is the most important thing in my life? One of the things that I found with a lot of people is that they don't have a whole lot of focus as to what their most important things are. So if you can identify what the most important thing in your life is, you can build a life around that. So for some of you listening, it might be your family. It might be your children. It might be your brother, sister, your parents. It might be your spouse. It might be your boyfriend, girlfriend. What is the most important thing in your life? And what do you want to build around that most important thing in your life? For some of you, it might be family. For some of you, it might be your happiness. Okay, what do I need to do to build a life around that happiness and to create more happiness in my life? For some of you guys, it might be love. Like love might be the most important thing for you. Even if you're just single, love might be the most important thing. Well, do I have friends that I can love on more? Can I love on myself more? Can I make loving on myself the most important thing that I do? If I'm single, I have nobody that I live with, I might live in a different city or a different state than my entire family. Can I focus on loving myself if love is the most important thing? So you start to build a life focusing around what the most important thing is to you, so that the most important thing grows and gets better, because what you focus on, you will get more of. What you appreciate, appreciates. Okay? It might be your freedom. Your freedom might feel like the most important thing. To be able to be free and to travel and to, build your own business so that you can go around the world and do some work from Bali and go to Tulum and do all of those things. Your freedom might be the most important thing. Well, how can I focus on the most important? Number 1, identify what the most important thing is. And then number 2, focus on that thing and how I can make that thing much better than it already is. This needs to be your North Star in your life. And what I mean by North Star is that if I'm heading towards the North Star, you're heading in that direction no matter what. So if I'm like, hey, this is the number 1 thing in my life, I'm heading towards that direction of this North Star in everything that I do at all points in time, it might have to move and shift, and there might be detours, and there might be, a path might change a little bit, but the actual direction of where I'm heading never changes. So that becomes your North Star. What is your North Star in your life? You have to know what your North Star is. You have to know what you're standing for, because if you don't stand for anything, you're going to fall. If you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for anything. And so you have to know what that most important thing is. And then number 6, another question to ask yourself often is, will I remember this in 5 years? The majority of the things that stress you out right now, that have been stressing you out today, that have stressed you out yesterday, the day before that, you're not going to remember any of this. You're really not going to. And so you ask yourself, will I remember this in 5 years? One of my very first mentors used to always say this to me. He used to always say, if I won't remember it in 5 years, I don't spend more than 5 minutes thinking about it. I don't spend more than 5 minutes worrying about it, stressing out, whatever it is. Life is up and down. It's crazy. It's all over the place. It's beautiful. It's tragic. It's a lot of different things. And so if it's something that you won't remember in 5 years, don't spend more than 5 minutes freaking out about it. But if you want to, if something stressful comes up, if you get bad news, give yourself 5 minutes if you want to. You can scream, you can throw things, you can throw pillows, you can break things. Whatever it is that you want to do, you give yourself 5 minutes to freak the hell out about that thing. After that 5 minutes is up, set a timer on your phone. After that 5 minutes is up, You move on and you go on and you do something different with your life, and you stop worrying about the things that don't matter. And you go, all right, if I'm not going to remember this conversation with this person that said this thing that I didn't enjoy in 5 years, I'm not going to spend more than 5 minutes on this thing. Because if it's not going to be remembered in 5 years, is it really even worth the 5 minutes in the first place? And so the question is, will I remember this in the next 5 years? If you can't remember it, if it doesn't seem like something that's going to be, a big life-changing event that you're going to remember in 5 years, spending more than 5 minutes is a waste of your time. It's a waste of your energy. You don't get time back. You don't get the energy back throughout the day. So focus on, all right, I'm going to give myself 5 minutes to freak out about this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start focusing on those things that are the most important to me. I have grieved this relationship or this friendship or this person that just said this to me or this, fire that I have to put out at work. I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to freak out for 5 minutes, and then I'm going to get moving. I'm not going to spend the next day, 2 days, week, 5 weeks freaking out about this thing. There are some people today, right now, possibly even listening to this episode, that are still pissed off about something that happened to them 10 years ago. What a waste. You have a very precious life that you have in a very limited amount of time and mental energy. Stop wasting it on things that do not matter. And if you won't remember it in 5 years, it does not matter that much. Today, I'm going to be talking about and give you one tip to massively change your life and actually change your brain. I do promise you this though. Most of you guys listening out there are not going to like it. And let me give you an example before I give you what that tip is. Let's say you and I decided that we wanted to start working out every single day together, right? So we go to the gym, you and I, and every single day you wanted to, maybe you went in and you're like, all right, I'm going to do chest today. I'm going to do legs tomorrow. I'm going to do biceps and triceps and shoulders on Wednesday. And you make this plan of all of the different exercises you're going to do. And every single day that we walk in the gym together, I do the exact same exercises. Not only do I do the exact same exercises, I use the exact same weight, the exact same reps, and the exact same amount of sets. And you came out to me and you're like, hey, Rob, listen, I know that you want to lose some muscle. I know you want to lose some fat. And I know you want to gain some muscle. You know that you have to lift heavier to grow muscle, right? You have to lift heavier. You can't just stay on the exact same weight. You can't stay on the same amount of reps. You can't stay on the same amount of sets. And I'm like, no way. I'm positive that I'm going to get the body I want, that I'm going to grow muscle, that I'm going to get the body of my dreams with this exact amount of weight, with this exact amount of reps, and this exact amount of sets. You would think that I was crazy, wouldn't you? Even if you don't work out, you listening to me right now, even if you don't work out, you're not a muscle master, whatever it is, you know that it would be absolutely ridiculous for me to think that if I did the exact same thing over and over and over and over again, that there would be any shift in my body after a while. Even if you're not a fitness lord, you know that in order for muscles to grow, in order for my body to lose fat, in order to get me into the dream shape of where I want to go, I have to continue to lift heavier. I have to lift what I've never lifted before in order to get the body that I've never had before, right? It's simple. We know that. What the hell is the difference with your life? In order to get the body that you want, in order to get the body that you've never had before, you have to do what's uncomfortable. You have to lift what you've never lifted. What you have to do is you have to make sure that your body is uncomfortable. That way it's going to change, because a body that is comfortable is not going to change. We all know that. Well, in order to get the life that you want, you're going to have to do what's uncomfortable. You're going to have to do what you've never done. In order to get the body you want, you've got to do what you've never done. In order to get the life that you want, you've got to do what you've never done. What you're comfortable with is not going to change you. Remember this quote for the rest of your life. If it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. You have to do what's hard. You have to do what's uncomfortable. You have to take the hard route. You have to do what you've never done before. You have to do what you don't want to do. Why? Because our bodies always want to be comfortable. Our brains always want to try to avoid the things that are hard, because the things that are hard are outside of our comfort zone, and outside of our comfort zone, our brain automatically sees as a threat. It automatically sees as danger in some sort of way. When you see an escalator, start taking the stairs. Start doing what you don't want to do. Start doing what's harder. When you think about taking a hot shower in the morning, switch it to cold. Don't even allow yourself to be comfortable. When you think about sleeping in, wake up early. When you think about finishing your reps, do one more. When you think about you're done with your running, go another mile. You have to push your limits. The only way that your life is going to change is if you do things that you don't currently do right now. It's so simple, but so profound because so few people actually do this. We all know that we need to do what we've never done before to become what we've never been. But why do we keep doing the same shit every single day? It doesn't make any sense. You have to do what's uncomfortable. When you sit down on the couch to go look on Instagram, make yourself get up and do 50 push-ups. Make yourself do what you don't want to do. Push yourself to do stuff that's outside of your comfort zone. This is the way that you build resilience. You have to push your limits. You have to be on the edge of your comfort zone at all points in time. Your comfort zone will not change you. If it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. You have to, as David Goggins likes to say, you have to get used to the suck. You have to do things that suck. The beautiful thing about this, though, is when you start to develop the feeling of, you know what, I'm going to do what I don't want to do. And you start to show up for yourself in ways that you've never shown up for yourself. Not only does your body change, not only does your mindset change, not only does your life change, but you start to build more confidence in yourself than you ever have before. People always want confidence. And I've got episodes on confidence. And that's beautiful. There's definitely ways to build confidence, but one of the biggest ways to build confidence is to show up for yourself in ways that you've never shown up for yourself. To do the things that you don't want to do when there's nobody watching. And you can't flex on Instagram by talking about how many push-ups you did, the fact you took a cold shower, but to do these things in silence, to push yourself past your comfort zone when no one else is there, when no one else is paying attention. Why? Because you know in your head that you show up for yourself. That's how you build confidence. If I push myself every single day for the next 6 months, 6 months from now, my confidence will be 10 times what it currently is if I'm not used to pushing myself. Why? Because I've been showing up for myself, because I've been doing what's hard. It's like if you have a friend that no matter what, if you call them, they show up at your house. You have an issue, they're there. You have an issue, they're there. You have an issue, you're there. They have an issue, they're there. They start showing up, they're always there for you. You know you can count on that person. Confidence is knowing that you can count on yourself, that you're going to show up, even if no one else is around, even if you can't flex on Instagram. I'm gonna promise you this, it's not fun, but it's rewarding as hell. There's very few things that will give you a mental high as doing something that you didn't want to do. I love cold showers. Let me rewind. I hate cold showers. I love the feeling of accomplishment that I get after cold showers. Before I get into a cold shower, I hate it. I'm usually cussing. I'm usually, dropping a whole bunch of F-bombs. I'm cussing. I'm screaming. I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I'm like, you better freaking do this. Don't want to do it. When I'm in the cold shower, no part of me is like, oh my God, this is so much fun. Never have I been like, I love this cold shower. It sucks every single time. But when I get out of it, the mental high that I have from doing something that I didn't want to do and showing up for myself, nothing else is like it. That's where confidence is built, is to show up for yourself at a higher level than anybody else will show up for you. One of the things that's really interesting is I've coached thousands of people, and people always show up for other people way more than they show up for themselves. Why would you ever do that? Why would you show up for other people more than you show up for yourself? If you show up for yourself at a really high level, you start to grow, which means that you can then show up for other people at a very high level. So instead of putting other people first all the time, put yourself first. For those of you guys that are parents, because I've coached many parents, I know exactly what you're thinking. Oh, but I can't put myself first because I have children. I get that. But actually, you should be first. You should, when the kids are not around, when they're asleep, whatever it is, you should have your time that you develop yourself. Too many people get caught and lost. They lose themselves in being a parent. When you build yourself outside of being a parent, when the children are asleep, when they're at school, whatever it is they're doing, when you build yourself, you become a better parent for when they do come back around. And there's nothing more rewarding than the mental high that you get from doing something that you didn't want to do. Why? Because progress equals happiness. That's what Tony Robbins says. We are built to progress. We are built to grow. We are built to push the limits. Humans are built to expand. That's why it feels so good to push yourself to do something you don't want to do. After it, you have an amazing mental and physical high. We are built to push the limits. This is also why people who have not been pushing themselves for years start to get more anxious. They start to get more depressed, because your body, your mind, every aspect of you, your soul is built to push itself past what it can do. That's why it feels so good. But then you have to realize, when do you not feel good? is when you're sitting on the couch and you're scrolling on Instagram and you've been watching Netflix for the past 4 hours. That's when your body starts to feel that. That's when you don't feel motivated, right? But when do you feel good? After accomplishing something. It's a mental high. It shows you were built for that. But you won't change unless you do what you've never done. So I want you to think about that. When was the last time that you pushed yourself outside of what you knew that you could do? When you did something that scared the shit out of you. When you did something that you had never done before. When was the last time that you've done it? I guarantee you, if it's been a long time, you probably feel quite stagnant. You probably feel like you need to grow. You probably aren't very happy with where you currently are. But if you push yourself and push yourself and push yourself, some of you guys out there have been doing this for a while. You've been pushing yourself, you're trying to go and push yourself and trying to go, and you know how it feels. The sense of accomplishment. There's no trophy at the end of this thing. It's showing up for yourself simply because you want to show up for yourself, because you know you deserve it. Your life won't change unless you do. You have to do what you've never done. You have to seek discomfort. You have to look for the discomfort in your life. When you notice yourself every single day doing the same things over and over and over and over again, you've got to mentally go, I got to make a change. And as we get older, it becomes a lot harder to make changes. We become more set in our ways. We think about, oh yeah, I'd rather just keep doing what I'm doing. I'd rather just go to the same restaurant, eat the same food. I'd rather do the same workout. I'd rather, hang out and watch some Netflix versus go to the gym. As we get older, we get more set in our ways. Screw that. Do not let that happen to you. If you notice yourself getting stuck in your ways, if you notice that you've been in your comfort zone for 6 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years, you got to get out of that. You got to push yourself. This is also how you change your brain, right? So people always want to change their brain. They always are excited when I talk about changing their brain. Neuroplasticity is the actual act, the science of changing your brain. But neuroplasticity doesn't happen from doing the same thing. Neuroplasticity, changing your brain, happens when you push the limits of your body and your mind and you do something different. Do what you've never done before. When you drive to work, drive a different way to work. Listen to something different. Hang out with different people. Eat different food. Go to lunch at a different place. Stop hanging out with the exact same coworkers that you always have. Get some new friends. I'm not saying you have to get rid of anybody, but just do things you've never done before. Go to concerts you've never been to. Here's a challenge for you. Say yes more often. Stop saying no so much. When someone's like, hey, do you want to go out with us and do X, Y, Z? And you're like, no, I'm good. Because it's something that you don't tend to do typically. Go, you know what? Next 30 days, I'm going to challenge myself to say yes to everything. How different would your 30 days, how different would the next 30 days of your life be if you just said yes to everything? It'd be different, wouldn't it? There'd be some challenges. You'd feel different, but you have to do what you don't want to do. You have to push your limits. You have to find your edge. You have to lean into discomfort. That's the only way that you're going to change. You can't go in and lift the exact amount of reps, do the exact amount of sets, do the exact same exercises, and think that your life is just going to magically be different a year from today. I promise you, if you do the exact same thing that you've been doing for the past 365 days, I can fast forward 365 days from today and see that your life is in the exact same position that it currently is. Nothing changes unless you change. If it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. What do you need to do to change yourself? What do you need to do to make your life look different? What is something that you have been saying no to for way too long and you start saying yes to it? Have you thought about that? What is it that you are holding yourself back from, the greatness that you're holding yourself back from, the body that you're holding yourself back from, the life, the business, the bank account, the relationships, the family, the love, the joy, the happiness that you're holding yourself back from simply because you won't stop doing the same shit you've been doing for so long? You've got to push yourself. You've got to get outside of your comfort zone. You've got to find your edge, and you've got to constantly push that edge over and over and over and over again. And I promise you this, if you push your edge every single day for the next 30 days, you'll be a different person in 30 days. If you do it for the next 365 days, you will be a noticeably different person. People will start coming up to you and ask you what you're doing. You look so much different. You look so much better. You're glowing. You seem happier. What are you doing? What am I doing? I'm just being a different Rob every single day. If it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. Today, I'm going to give you one massive key to changing so many aspects of your life. And the first thing I want to talk about before we dive into it is, let me explain to you how most people try to change. I'll give you a real quick example before we dive into it. Most people wake up one day, they look in the mirror, and they think, what the hell happened to my body? Right? And they become disgusted with their body. They look at it and they're like, oh man, I used to be in better shape when I was younger. Now I've got these love handles. and they look at themselves and they look at their body with a form of hate. They hate their body. So what do? They decide they're going to change it. I hate the way my body looks. I'm going to start working out. So they decide to work out to change this thing that they hate, right? Then they decide, you know what? It's not just working out. I'm going to eat differently. So they eat differently to try to change this thing that they hate. And they push hard to try to change this thing that they hate. They try to change it as much as they possibly can because why? Because they hate it and they want it to not be the way that it is. And don't get me wrong, this can work. Many people have changed their bodies for the better by hating their bodies and by having negative feeling towards their bodies. It can work, but it's so negative that it doesn't feel as good. It doesn't feel good to change your body by doing this, by waking up, by feeling like you're disgusting, by looking at yourself in the mirror and wishing that you were somewhere else. It causes, anxiety, it causes anger, it causes sadness, all kinds of different emotions that are completely unnecessary. Now, let's take that exact same example, but let's try to move it and see if we can still change somebody's body, right? So somebody wakes up and they look at themselves and they don't enjoy the way that they look. They look at themselves and they're like, I didn't used to look like this. I used to be in shape. Now I've got these love handles. And then they think about what got them there. The lack of working out. Oh man, I've known for years I should work out more, but I just haven't been doing it. So the lack of working out. Then they think about, there has been quite a few times where I've eaten things I knew I wasn't supposed to eat just because I simply wanted to see what it was like. Want to just have, as Joe Rogan calls it, mouth pleasure. Just the pleasure of having that thing in my mouth. Even knowing it wasn't that good for me, it was just the flavor that did it, right? And there are some times that I've overindulged in alcohol. There are some drugs that I've done in my past. And you start thinking about all of the things, all of the actions, all of the decisions or lack of decisions that got you to where you are, which is the way your body currently looks. It's not your body's fault, right? Whose fault is it? It's your fault, obviously, the person who's in this situation. And then you think about it, you think, wow, all of the lack of working out, all of the food I shouldn't have been eating, all of the alcohol that I've had, all the different drugs that I've had, and my body's still running. That's pretty damn amazing. It's running pretty damn well for all of the things that I've put it through. And then you go, wow, I haven't really been on my body's side, but my body's been on my side. And then you look and you go, man, maybe instead of hating this body, maybe I should be grateful for all of the things that it's done for me. And then you have gratitude and love towards your body versus negativity, hate, and anger towards your body. And with this gratitude and this love towards your body and all of the showing up that it's done for you, even when we weren't showing up for it, you go, you know what? I actually want to take care of my body better. So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to decide to work out more often. I'm going to work out because my body deserves it. Instead of just sitting on the couch all the time or just sitting at my computer desk, I'm going to move more. I'm going to take my body outside. I'm going to get more sun. You know what I'm also going to do? I'm also going to drink a lot more water and a lot less alcohol. Okay? Maybe what I decide to do as well is I'm actually going to eat healthier and give my body the nutrients that it deserves because it's been taking care of me for so damn long. Maybe it's about time that I start taking care of it. Now, both of those two situations that I told you change the body. Both of them involve working out. Both of them involve eating healthier. Both of them involve doing the things that you need to do in order to make your body be in a better situation than it currently is. But one comes from a place of hate and the other comes from a place of love. Do you think that it's easier, or let me ask you, rephrase the question. Which do you think is easier to keep long term? Do you think it's easier to keep that hate and that anger? Or do you think it's easier to keep the gratitude and love up? I would say from what I've seen and people that I know that have been in really good shape and still really in good shape long term, the love and the gratitude towards your body tends to be easier to hold on to long term. You can change your body. There's a lot of people that change their body and they go really hardcore for 3 months, 6 months, a year. And then it's just so much negativity and anger and hate towards their body that they're like, I just can't do this anymore. What do? They go back to their old ways. Why? Because it's easier and it doesn't feel so negative. Both of them can work, but one is way easier and one feels a whole lot better. Okay, let me give you another example. You can hate your life where you currently are. I've been in situations where I've looked around at my circumstances, everything that I have, and I've hated my circumstances. And I'll be honest with you, That's how I got into personal development, was that I looked at my current circumstances and I hated them. I hated where I was. I hated where I lived. I hated my body. I hated my bank account. I hated all of these aspects of my life that, once again, I built that life. I was the one, there was no one else building my life for me. Every part of my life were all decisions that I had made. And that's what got me into personal development. And you can hate where you are so much right now that you want to change. And I see so many people do this. You can hate it. You can hate your current life circumstances. You can hate where you live. You can hate the car that you drive. You can hate the money or lack of money that's in your bank account. You can hate the people that you surround yourself. You can hate the area that you live in. You can hate the lack of opportunities. You can hate all of those things. And you can force yourself to change through it. And it can 100% happen. No doubt about it. You can change through that. Or you can go, you know what? Are my current circumstances what I want? No, probably not. But you know what? I can at least be grateful for where I am. I can be grateful that you guys all have opportunities to be able to listen to this podcast. So you're either watching this on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or you're listening to it on a podcasting app. So you either have a computer or you have a phone to be able to access the internet. Well, that's a beautiful thing. There's a lot of people that don't have access to this information. You can hate your current life circumstance. You can hate where you live. But you can look around also and you can say, you know what? I have a place to live. There's a lot of people that don't have that. There's a lot of people that are homeless right now. I can look around and say, okay, I have food every day. I have water every single day. I have shelter. I have clothing. I have a few people that love me around me. And you can look at it and you can say, okay, even though my current life circumstances are not exactly what I want them to be in the future, I wish that I had something more, I can still look at it and realize there's a lot to be grateful for. I was listening to a story the other day of a lady who was inside of the hospital, and there's a spiritual leader that went in, and she went to go talk with her, and she was just so depressed and so pissed off about being in the hospital, which rightfully so, you can understand that. And she's like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. And this is terrible. And she's like, listen, I completely understand. She's like, hey, I've got a couple of questions for you. She goes, yeah. And she goes, I'm curious, are there people that come in here and check on you every once in a while? And she said, yeah, there's people that come in here and check on you just to make sure that everything's good. Okay, cool. She goes, I'm also curious, do they feed you in here? They do? Oh, okay, cool. I'm curious, how's the temperature of the room? Is it pretty decent? And she starts to realize, she starts asking her these questions where she could focus on the fact that she's in the hospital, or she also could focus on the fact that she has food, she has water, she has shelter, she has people that are taking care of her. It's probably not the circumstance she wants to be in at this moment, but she can look at those tiny things that are around her and build gratitude around those tiny things first before taking any action. So if you're looking at your body, if you're looking at your life, if you're looking at your circumstance, if you're looking at where you live, the car you drive, all those things, you can hate all of those things. I know people that have Lamborghinis and hate their Lamborghinis. The car is not what's going to change. It's your attitude around what you have that needs to change. There's a difference. There's forcing, which is the hate side of it, and then there's allowing, and there's love, and there's gratitude. There's the hate side of it, and then there's the gratitude and the love side of it. And if you're going for longevity, to be able to do this long term, this life thing, you probably have a good amount left. Hopefully, you've still got time, right? I'm 35. Hopefully, I get another 35, 40, 50, 60 years. That'd be really nice if I could. That would be really great. I've got a long ways to go if I do live another 60 years. I've got another 60 years. I'm going for longevity. I realize that this life thing, although it can be very short, it's also a marathon. And you know what makes running a marathon easier? A good attitude. Loving the marathon instead of hating it. Instead of pushing myself through it, instead of forcing myself to go through it, instead of hating it and having anger and being pissed off the entire time, I'm going for this long-term longevity thing. And you know what makes it easier? Loving your current circumstances. It's about having positive dissatisfaction. In this moment, you are positive, but the dissatisfaction isn't a negative. The dissatisfaction goes, I love where I am, but I'm still going to change it. I love the people around me, but I'm still going to change that. I love the fact that my body is the way that it is, that it's taking care of me as much as it has, but I'm still going to change it. It's about realizing that no matter where you are right now, you're blessed, you have amazing opportunities in front of you, You have a long road ahead of you of this life. And if you're looking for long-term growth, if you're looking for long-term change, if you're looking for long-term success, it starts from a place of love and gratitude, not a place of hate. I know a lot of people that have built multi-billion dollar businesses, million-dollar businesses, billion-dollar, hundreds of millions of dollars. I have friends that have sold businesses for hundreds of millions of dollars, all of that. And I know people who have massive amounts of success, but they hate where they are and they don't know why. They don't know how to change it. It's because their entire life they've learned. It's just a routine, the same way that you wake up on the same side of the bed. They've learned to just wake up and hate where they are. You know, when they were broke, they woke up and they hated where they are, and they hated where they are, and they hated where they are. And they thought that once they finally get all of that money, they're finally going to be happy. But no, the same way that they wake up on the exact same side of the bed is the exact same way that they've woken up and they've learned to hate their life. So even when they have millions, hundreds of millions, up to billions of dollars, they still hate their life because they've developed a habit of hating their life, hating their circumstances. The money doesn't change that. It's the mindset around what somebody has that changes that. So many people think they're going to get rich, they're going to make all the money, they're going to have all the success they want, and then they'll finally be okay to just take a step back and chill. Doesn't work that way. It all starts now. I always tell people, an easy example of this. People are like, oh, I can't wait till I have $10 million so I can donate $1 million to charity. I'm like, that's not going to happen. Because if you have $10 right now and you're not donating $1 of your $10, you're not going to donate $1 million of your $10 million. It's not going to happen. It's a routine. It's a habit. It's a way of life that you start now. So that once you get to that point, it's a routine. It's a habit. It's a way of life. And if you're working towards the long term, it's a lot easier to work long term and love where you currently are, because you're not going to get to a certain point in your life and go, oh, I've made it. Now I have everything that I want. The way to change any aspect of your life, whether it's your body, whether it's your business, whether it's your life, whether it's your finances, whether it's your relationship, whether it's your family, is not to hate the way that it currently is. It's to take a step back from your hate, from your anger, from your emotions, and to say, what can I appreciate about these circumstances? Okay, I found a couple things. Now, instead of focusing on all of the stuff that I hate, what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on a few of the things that I love. Even if you look at your body and you're like, I'm super overweight, I look like I feel like I don't want to be this way anymore, you can still find a couple things to love, a few things to have gratitude for. The fact that it's still working is a pretty damn good place to start. You're still breathing. I hope so. If you listen to this, you're still breathing. Your heart's still beating. Your organs are still working. Why don't you start there? Your body breathes in oxygen and breathes out carbon dioxide. There's trees around you that take your carbon dioxide and then make oxygen so that you can breathe it again. You have this beautiful symbiotic relationship between you and the trees. You can start there. There's so many different things that you could find gratitude for if you just take a moment and take a step back and look for the gratitude. Because I promise you this, gratitude is not just a state of being. Gratitude and happiness are habits. But you don't build that habit once you finally have what you want. You build that habit now, and then that will give you the starting point to start working towards what it is that you want. So that once you have what you want, you realize, oh my goodness, I love this. I'm satisfied the same way that you loved it and you were satisfied before. You don't wake up and your life changes and your mindset changes. You have to work every single day to find what you love. So if you want to change your life, if you want to change your body, change your finances, change your business, change anything else around you, stop hating the things that you change and learn to love the things that you want to change. Because ultimately, that's what's going to help you now, and that's what's going to help you long term. Today, we're going to talk about how to completely change your life in just 6 months. And this is for anybody who wants to change their life drastically. And this could be if you are unemployed and you want to be able to figure out a way to finally start making money and to be able to change your life. This could be if you are employed and you've been at a job for a while and you're just ready to create your own job, do whatever it is that you want with your own life. No matter which situation that you're in, this is for you. I'm going to talk to you about how you can change your life in 6 months. If you have a family, if you don't have a family, if you have a job, if you don't have a job, this relates to every single person if you want to make massive changes in your life. And the reason why I say this is because someone that I'm close to, their father actually just got fired from a job that he was at for 20 years. He was at a job for 20 years and they had to let him go for budget reasons. And one of the things that drives me the most crazy is that people think that working for somebody else and getting a salary is secure work. For those of you guys that are just listening to the podcast, you can't see me. I'm air quoting secure because there's nothing secure about working for somebody else. The only time it's secure is when you are your own boss. You can't fire yourself. Whenever you're at the mercy of someone else, there's no security there. So today we're going to be talking about how to completely change your life in 6 months. And step number 1 is to fucking disappear. That's correct. Disappear completely. Go off the map. Lock yourself in your house whenever you're not at work or whenever you're awake. If don't have a job, disappear. Don't see anybody that you've seen consistently throughout the days, throughout the weeks, whatever it is. Disappear for 6 months. And I'm going to give you the steps of what this is going to look like. But the most important part of it is to disappear because you can do anything for 6 months. And we're talking about a full life reset. So let's talk about what this is going to look like. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to get very clear on what it is that you want in this life. One of the main issues that I see with people, and I've coached tens of thousands of people have sent me emails or Facebook messages or Instagram messages, or they've gone through my courses, or they've gone through one-on-one with me, whatever it is. One of the biggest things that I see it's a problem of holding people back is that they just don't know what they want. So when I say you've got to become very, 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 very clear on what it is that you want, what do you want? If you were to look into your future 5 years from today, 10 years from today, what do you want? What do you want your life to be? What do you want your family to look like? What do you want your bank account to look like? What kind of business do you want to be running? You've got to become very clear. I've told you this story before on the podcast, but when I first had my coaching business, I also had an Amazon business that was making way more money than my coaching business was. But I asked myself, if I fast forward 5 years from today, do I want to be known as the guy who's teaching, who's selling stuff on Amazon, or do I want to be known as the guy who's coaching people and helping them improve their lives? That became very clear for me. I want to be the one that's coaching people, helping people change their lives. That was just what I was passionate about. Selling on Amazon, there was nothing wrong with it. It just wasn't my passion. So I fast forwarded my life. And then I said, okay, what do I want from here? Here's a really easy way to do this. It's called future pacing, okay? So if it's 2021 right now, and let's say that you look and you say, I want $10 million in my bank account, and I want to have this 5 years from today. Then you're going to go, it is 2026. I have $10 million in my bank account. I have all of these things, all the things that you list out that you want, and life and happiness and joy. This is what I did to do it. And I want you to write a story as if it's already happened. It's called future pacing. You go into this future that you want and you actually write the future out and how you created that future. And the thing that you have to do is you have to become very clear, because the more clear that you are, the easier it is to visualize this future that you want to create. And you're going to visualize it, and you're going to look at your goals every single day, every single morning, and you're going to visualize them, you're going to look at them, you're going to read them, you're going to write them down, and you're going to get more clear every single morning of these 6 months. And then what I want you to do in these 6 months is I want you to learn one high income skill. I want you to learn one high income skill. I'm going to give you a bunch of examples of high income skills that I see that are on the internet. But if you want to work in person, if you want to become really good at landscaping and you want to create a massive landscaping business, obviously that's not going to be on this list. But I'm going to give you some ideas of things that I've seen people making lots of money on the internet. You could do woodworking, you could do painting, whatever it is for you. It's up to you. First thing that I think of, you can learn how to run Facebook ads. I know people that make millions of dollars a year running Facebook ads for other people. You can write articles and make money writing articles. You can get good at SEO, search engine optimization, and do that for people. You can do it for yourself. You can make YouTube videos and figure out ways to make money on YouTube. You can decide that you want to be a coach, and you can coach people and make a lot of money doing that. You can set up a Shopify store and start doing e-commerce. You can set up an Etsy store and start selling jewelry or whatever it is that you want to sell on Etsy. There's millions of different products on Etsy you could start doing. You could get Facebook ad revenue. That means if you start making videos and the videos start going semi-viral, they'll actually pay you for the views that you get based off of the ads that are there. You can get sponsorships. If you start growing your following, you get sponsorships on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. You can run a brand new clothing company. If you want to start a clothing company, then you go, okay, I need to figure out how to create the products, how to design them, how to get them onto Shopify, how to put Facebook ads up. You can sell courses for whatever it is that you might have a skill set on. You can do affiliate marketing. You can do podcasting. You can do freelance work for whatever you're good at freelance at Upwork.com. You can do it at Fiverr.com. You can do social media management. You can learn to master social media, and you can teach that to other people, or you can run their own. You could write Kindle books if you wanted to, ebooks, and start selling those. You can do consulting for whatever you might have an idea of. If you're a sales manager and you're just tired of working for someone else, you could consult other companies on how to actually make their sales better. You can do consulting. You can do freelance writing. Take 6 months to master one skill. And obviously you're not going to master it in the 6 months, but you're going to be on your road to mastery, because most people don't take 6 months to learn shit. So you're going to sit there and you're going to go, I got 6 months to master this. And then what you're going to do as you're mastering it, as you're forcing yourself to learn, get better, learn, get better, learn, get better, mess up a lot, is then what you're going to do is you're going to figure out a way to take that skill, take that very niche knowledge skill, and turn it into a business. And depending on what it is that you want to do, there's tons of people that have courses to teach you how to run a Shopify store, or to run an Amazon business, or to get better at Etsy. There's tons of free stuff out there with YouTube. If you want to learn any of these things, there's a ton of free stuff out there on YouTube as well. Give yourself 6 months to learn one high income skill and completely change your life with it. The second thing that you're going to do, now that you know what you want, now that you've figured out what high income skill you're going to get, now you got to make a plan of how you're going to get there. So if you say, okay, in 5 years, I want to be worth this amount of money, 10 years, I want to be worth this amount of money, I want to do it by opening a luxury Shopify store and Etsy store for faux leather jackets. I don't know, something like that. Well, then now I figured out what it is. I need to create a plan. Okay, I'm probably going to have to learn from somebody. Either I'm going to have to pay them to coach me, or I'm going to have to get some sort of course. I'm going to have to go on YouTube and figure it out. And what you do is you figure out what it is that you need to do. Now, if you have a full-time job, then you know when you go home, this is what you're doing. You're going to lock it down. You're not going to go out and party. You're not going to see your friends. And that's fine. And I'm going to tell you how to work with your friends and work with your family and work with everybody. If you have children, obviously you've got to take care of your children. But we're talking about taking time to actually really lock down whatever that means for you. And people can always use their family as an excuse, but literally, I had somebody who just joined from me and just learned how to grow a coaching business. She grew a coaching business. She's got 4. She's a single mother of 4. She made $16,000 last week. You can use your family as an excuse if you want to, or you can use them as the reason why you succeed. People like to use their family and their children as reasons why they're not succeeding. In reality, you need to flip that and make them the reason why you are going to succeed. So you've got to figure out a very clear plan of exactly what you're going to do, exactly what you're going to create, and the business, the money that you want, the happiness, the joy, whatever it is you're trying to create in the next 5 to 10 years. Get very clear on what it is that you want, and then get very clear on the roadmap and the plan to get there. Here's what messes a lot of people up. They expect that they need to come up with the perfect plan that will never change. Your plan is going to change 500 times in the next 10 years. That's okay. It's the same way as if you're going to take a really long road trip, there's going to be some detours. There's no way that the original plan to get there is just going to be perfect. There's going to be detours no matter what. You can figure it out. You can figure out what it is you need to do. The thing about it is that you know what you need to do to create the life that you want. You know what you need to do to be successful, be happy, to whatever it is that you're trying to create. You know. The problem is you're just not doing it. Everybody knows what they need to do to become wealthy or happy or successful or more peaceful. We know what we need to do. We're just not doing it. That's the problem. So stop acting like you don't know. You've just got to start doing it. Come up with a plan and realize that that plan is going to shift and move along the way. That's what's going to happen. It's going to shift and move along the way. So that's step number 2 is come up with a plan. Step number 3 is what I told you in the very beginning. Disappear. You're gone. Poof. Never to be seen again for the next 6 months. That's what you're going to do. Why? Because this is your time to completely rewire and to change your life. And the people who really love you will be fine with you doing this. One of the main resistance of people doing this is they think, oh my gosh, my mom's going to be so mad. My friends are going to be so mad. Usually we hang out and we watch football on Sundays. If it's really important to you, you'll figure it out. If it's not important to you, you'll make some excuses as to why you're not doing it. That's the truth of the matter. Tell everyone that you know that you're going on a money-making vacation. You're disappearing. That's just the way it's going to go. You're going to disappear for 6 months. Just let them know. If they get mad about it, they were never a true friend in the first place. A couple weeks ago, I did an episode on Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan, what it takes to be great. I remember watching the video on Kobe Bryant talking about how when he first got into the NBA, he was only 18 years old, went straight from high school straight to the NBA. And he told all of his friends and all of his family, I'm not going to hang out with you for the next year. And the person that was interviewing him was like, well, didn't they get mad? He's like, some of them got mad, but those aren't my true, that's not the true people who love me. If you love me, you know how important basketball is to me. You know how important it is for me to bring out my true potential in this very first year, how important it is. We can hang out after year one. But year one, I've got to lock in. I've got to change myself. I've got to improve my skills because this is the most important year of my life. He said everyone that loved him was okay with it. So you've got to be upfront, be like, hey, I can't hang out. I can't go to parties. I can't watch football on Sundays. Stop doing anything that doesn't get you closer to your goal. Stop doing anything that doesn't get you closer to your goal. I promise you that everything will be exactly the same 6 months from today as it is today, besides your own life. Everyone's going to be acting the same. They're going to be talking the same. They're going to be thinking the same. I remember when I left in 2012, I went on a backpacking trip for 3 months by myself. And then in 2017, I went on a 6-month trip with my girlfriend. What was so funny is that you leave and you're like, I've been gone for so long. I bet everything's going to be so different. You come back, your friends are still exactly the same. They're still working the same job. They're still acting the same. Your family's still the same. Nothing has changed. Everything is exactly the same. Now, for those of you guys that have families, you still got to take care of your kids. You still got to feed them. We get it. But can you lock yourself outside of anything that isn't the family, the kids, everything that needs to be done? Can you lock yourself outside of it? Because your life is going to improve dramatically and their life is going to improve dramatically as well. You can do anything for 6 months. Disappearing for 6 months is not that big of a deal. And you've got to ask yourself this question as you're going through these 6 months. If you're really serious about this is something that you want to do, you've got to constantly ask yourself this question every single day, multiple times a day. Is what I'm doing right now getting me closer to or further from my goal? Is what I'm doing right now getting me closer to having a $1 million a year Shopify and Etsy faux leather jacket company that makes me profiting $300,000 a year from that million? Okay, it's not. I'm going to stop doing it. Is what I'm doing right now getting me closer to or further from my goals? And you start working at this and you develop, what we're talking about is developing the foundation of a brand new life, developing the foundation of a brand new skill set, developing the foundation of a brand new business. And you're not going to be amazing at the beginning, but you're going to get better and you're going to get better and you're going to get better. And what you're doing is you're basically pouring the foundation for this brand new life, this brand new business. You're pouring the foundation. And then after these 6 months, you're basically, you're in the 6 months, you're starting to build the bricks and you're putting the bricks down. But then what you're also going to be doing is continuing to build it after the 6 months. After the 6 months, you can go back and watch football with your boys on Sundays. You can watch Saturday, NCAA football if you want to. You can do all of those things. But what I'm telling you is if it's truly important to you, you'll lock it down for a little while. You'll figure out how to make it work. You'll figure out how to make it work with your business. You'll figure out how to make it work with your family. Figure out how to make it work with your friends. You'll figure out how to make it work with every single aspect of your business. But if you're stopping yourself immediately right now going, oh yeah, but what if? You've already taken yourself out of the game. So if you fully want to change your life, disappear for 6 months. Completely rewire yourself, rewire your mindset, rewire your business, rewire your bank account, rewire your happiness, your joy, your peace, all of those things. And in 6 months, you'll come back a different person and inspire all of the people around you to start changing themselves as well. That is how you change your life, is by disappearing for 6 months.